And I must say that, some people have given me a lot more credit and so on than I believe that I personally deserve in this area of healing and so on. But when somebody comes to me whose belief in me is stronger than their own disbelief in themselves, I find I can help them. It isn't me, Wayne Dyer, this physical body that is here. It's this energy of knowing that healing is possible and that it's in every one of us. And that healing energy is something that all of us have. And that by putting your hands on or just convincing somebody or just letting them know that I have such a strong belief in you that you can be healed, that has a tendency to transcend the negativity that is the disease process. And that it isn't some magical faith healing kind of thing at all. I mean, if you read the work of Bernie Siegel, and if you read Deepak Chopra, and you read Dean Ornish, and many of these people, medical people, who are talking about the mind-body connection, they're really talking about a strong sense of connecting to the chi, or the prana, which is just the energies. It's just another word for that energy, for that God force. And knowing that it's in you to be able to put along this current, this healing capacity. And kahunas did this. And that's how they worked, as he explained it to me. Now, there's a whole lot of training and so on that goes with it. But I find it very intriguing when I think about this word attraction and being able to attract and this concept of energy. There was a poem by a Sufi poet. His name is Rumi. He lived 1,000 years ago in what is today Afghanistan. Rumi had a poem that really reflects what I'm talking about here. It's called The Seed Market. I'd like to share it with you as we talk about this energy. He says, can you find another market like this? Where, with one rose, you can buy hundreds of rose gardens? Where for one seed, you get a whole wilderness? For one weak breath, the divine wind? You've been fearful of being absorbed in the ground or drawn up by the air. Now your water bead lets go and drops into the ocean where it came from. It no longer has the form it had, but it's still water. The essence is the same. This giving up is not a repenting, it's a deep honoring of yourself. When the ocean comes to you as a lover, marry at once, quickly, for God's sake. Don't postpone it. Existence has no better gift. No amount of searching will find this. A perfect falcon, for no reason, has landed on your shoulder and become yours. So this force, this healing energy, this invisible attraction that we want to use to bring something into our lives, is the same power that you have that allows you to process exactly what I'm saying right this minute. It's almost like you have to do a somersault into the unimaginable. You have to think of yourself as not only having a physical body, but as having an energy body as well. If you take your arm and you stick it out in front of you straight, you'll see there's about, however long your arms are, there's that much distance between your trunk and how far out your hand extends. And you move that hand above you and behind you and all around you, that distance is an energy body that is always with you. And the sorcerers talk about this energy body as being something that is assembled around you. And this is a foreign concept to all of you cookie thieves out there. It's a foreign concept that one that is already, I can hear you out there listening in your car saying, wait a second, what is he? Is he flipped out? What is he talking about, an energy body? And yet, when you begin to see that this energy body, if someone gets too close to you, if someone is talking to you and they stay about here, you're pretty comfortable, aren't you? It's okay if I stay about an arm's length away. But if I get in here, and if I get in here and begin talking to you, there's a discomfort. And this discomfort is not because you're so fragile, but because the energy body of yours has been broken. The boundary has been broken. And that boundary, according to the kahunas, that invisible energy that surrounds you, the great teachers, the teachers of Castaneda and people like that, Don Juan Matus and the Nagual Julian, these people talked about an assemblage point of energy, that this energy is assembled around you. And where it is assembled around you determines your agreement with reality. And in order to shift your agreement with reality, which is what I'm asking you to do in this program, to shift your agreement with a reality that says, I don't have this divine capacity. I can't tap into that energy. It's not within me. It's out there someplace. It is not me. And as you begin to tap into this, you learn how to shift this assemblage point of energy. And when you can shift that assemblage point somewhere in back of you, when you can just shift it, your perception shifts. It's very much like what happens when you're in a dream. And everything is just as crystal clear as it could be in this dream. You might be composing. You might be writing something. You might be giving a talk. Who knows what it is that you're doing. But it's just every word just seems to flow and you just seem to be in harmony. You might be flying. It might be just a perfect moment. And then you wake up and you can't recapture it. And you think, gee, I can only do that when I'm sleeping. But I want to tell you that if you learn to tap into this energy body, and that's what this meditation does. When you learn the manifesting meditation, what happens is you shift the assemblage point of energy in your body and in your life. And you do a somersault into what was previously the unimaginable. And what happens is that you begin to see yourself as someone who has much greater power than you ever thought you had before. Someone who can do things that you've been told you can't do. Someone who can be in more than one place, perhaps, at the same time, like you are when you're in your dream. Someone who can change shape, like you do when you're in your dream. Someone who can be young or old. Don Juan, in his training, in his early training, Don Juan Matus, in his earliest training, had to dress as a woman for 2 years and disguise himself as a woman and never, ever be found out. If he was ever found out, he had to start the 2 years over. Just to prove that he had the capacity to disguise himself. Just to have that energy of being able to be male or female. To know that that's not something that's separate from you, but that you have that. This ability to have someone come at you that you don't want to see you and to make yourself invisible to them through the use of your energy body. These are all things that we think, oh, come on, we can't do that. Where are you coming off with that stuff? You're cookie thieves. Because you're stuck in believing there's only one dimension of reality, and it is the reality that your senses process and perceive. And you don't understand yet that there are other dimensions of reality, and you can at least peer into them. And if you want to do more than just peer into them, you can wander into them. Your life here is like being in one room in a house that has 1,000 rooms. And you show up in this one room called daily awareness. And you live in this room. The door opens at your conception and it closes at your death. And you live in this room and you try to figure out a way into the other 999 rooms that constitute potential human awareness. But you can't get in them because you're always pushing and pushing and pushing on the walls and looking for an exit out of this dimension that's out there. Somehow this pushing process doesn't work and you just keep pushing against these walls. And then you have the insight, the awareness. And you step back. And finally you realize that the doorway out of the limitations of daily awareness opens inward. You step back. And you allow the door to open. and you walk right through. And as you walk through, you begin to see the ability to manifest, the ability to manage the coincidences of your life, the ability to place your attention on prosperity, on healing, on unconditional love, on kindness, on divine relationships. And you see that energy not just as something that is static and stagnant, but as something that is alive and flowing and moving and connecting everything to everything.